If you're looking to build a highly effective, high-performance landing page in 2024, then you're probably going to want to avoid using slideshows as part of your hero units. Today, I'm going to explain why that's the case. I also want you to stick around because I'll show you some viable alternatives that you can use to create high-yielding landing pages that still look beautiful. Also, I'll give you a bit of background and information as to why to avoid slideshows in the first place. So before we jump in, what is a slideshow hero? For decades, successful web designers have been using hero units. This is a section that sits below the masthead or header, and it's often called the banner, or even sometimes a header itself. Think of the hero as your billboard. You've got 3 seconds to get your message across to your audience at most. A slideshow is where we add multiple hero units together, often with arrows or some sort of navigation to take you through from one slide to the next without leaving the page. It's great in theory, but the problem is when into practice, we're seeing a huge drop off after the first slide. And in particular, if the message is different on each slide, we could have some important information on the 5th or 6th slide of a slideshow and it's not getting across to our visitors. I'd recommend pivoting to hero grids or a simple, streamlined hero unit with one clear message and one clear call to action. But more about that in a minute. There is one additional downside to using slideshows in our heroes, and that is load speed. The speed and efficiency of your website loading on Google will now be ranked directly against your competitors. So why give them an edge for a feature that doesn't yield amazing results from your audience? Of course, there's always a time and a place for a slideshow, and sometimes, in unique circumstances, that may be on the landing page. But load speed should not be important in this instance. For example, for a photographer or a website for a sports team, our viewers may be more patient and have come to the website for the content itself. But that's not most websites, that's not most businesses. For the vast majority of the time, we're trying to get our visitor from A to B, and we want to make that journey as friction-free as possible. The website needs to look beautiful, obviously, but at the same time, it needs to be high performance. Think of Formula One car as opposed to your family hatchback. So if you're itching to crack on like I am, let's go over and take a look at a live example where we'll use Squarespace today. To kick us off, I've created a new template. This is one of the standard boilerplate templates from Squarespace. If we look through it, nice, simple, clean flow throughout, monochromatic layout with the green coming through on the designs. This hero unit for this particular application works very well. When we go through our website blueprint as part of Pixelhaze process, we go through the who, what, why, where, when, how. We can see plants and pots. We've got the photo backing that up. We've got a call to action button. Again, that hints that you can buy online. You'd hope so with that statement. You could even go one step further and say shop online now. The call to action button could be punchier if you wanted to give it more effect, but ultimately this is a very clear, precise, minimal hero to start with your website. The way it blends into the masthead, so we've got a transparent masthead here overlaying it, that gives it a nice consistent theme. So as we go through the rest of this homepage template, this is a beautiful template by the way, we've got the charcoals and the really dark colors in the backdrop of this hero unit into a lighter slate gray with again the darker images overlaying it, where we've got the greens from the foliage really jumping out, but without it being an eyesore or being too strong. They could have decided to increase the saturation, but I think that would lose some of the sophistication in the design. Then a nice use of animation on the products as well to give a full 360 tour. Having one clockwise, one anti-clockwise, I think works really well. And a full background image for this second hero here, or third actually we could say. One thing that's quite popular now is using multiple hero units. We can see 3 backdrops. You could argue this one's not a hero because there's no call to action, no message on that image there. But we're going to focus on the top one. Now, what if we were to add a slideshow? So instead of having that image, then signposting, then a second image, then more signposting, then another image with a call to action. If we had them all in one slideshow, we are expecting our viewer just to stay there constantly, and that becomes a problem. So if I choose this option here, we've got a slideshow. So at the moment, it's not really fair. We've got this call to action over here, but because the content's not related or relatable to the website itself, it doesn't have the same impact. So what we're going to do is edit our content. And those images, they're not here. Because part of the template, they must be feeding through from elsewhere. What I'm going to do is use my image downloader tool. This is a Chrome extension. And I'm going to download these images just so we've got them for our example. So when I'm adding a slideshow, I want it to look as close to the final design as possible. So that'll give you an idea of why we're getting that drop off. Okay, I've just been through and uploaded the images. There are a number of errors here impacting this layout. Actually, I'll just get rid of that fourth one so it's not jarring. The obvious issue here is that that was a portrait image being uploaded to a landscape slideshow, and the resolution isn't anywhere near high enough, so we're losing a lot of the clarity on that. Never do that. Layout of the page to the content and never the other way around, otherwise you end up with a turn-off like this, which is just not great. This one can look quite good, but another issue we can see, we can't see the text overlaying it. That's easy enough to do. We can change the color style to make sure that that text is easy to read. And although they've got a title and a call to action button, the fact that each of them are different causes a problem. Here we're having to interact, and even if we were to put some custom code in and put it on a timer and it slides through every 5 seconds, what we're going to find is people will navigate to the section they want. They'll either navigate off by the menu or they'll scroll down. So why add in multiple messages when you can go with one clear message? That third image, which isn't a good enough standard, the resolution isn't high enough for this design, we're still left with an issue where we're stuck in between the two. We've got 2 images, so not enough to really justify that manual click through and navigation, and it doesn't look great. What we could do is edit the design of it, and instead of going for a slideshow, we could go with a simple list with images, but then that's losing its impact as a hero unit. It's no longer really a hero with that effect, even if we were to put it so it shows 2 columns maximum. Of course, we can put the content in cards, but again, we're looking at signposting at the top as opposed to heroes, but you might like that type of Polaroid effect. Absolutely fine. But you're better off still going with that one clear message. It's about being ruthless with website designs wherever possible. And if we go back to this option here, we've got a simple clear message. But if you feel that there's more that you need to get into your page, this is where hero grids come across. So think of using the 24-column grid that we get in Squarespace. And I carried out a similar workshop in hosting a website builder as well, showing how we can use website builders to create hero grids, which is one of the main trends as we move into 2024. So we could offset this content and we could add in additional elements. Using that grid, we could put an image within an image. So we've got the background image and then we've got a close-up of one of the products. That could work. Or we could even place a video with a play button option in here as well. One of the areas I would say avoid, unless there's a very clear reason for it as well, would be having a autoplay video hero section. That again increases the load time of the page and causes complications. If we look at this now, we can upload a close-up of one of our products. And this is where that image, even though it's in portrait format, might be more suitable. We can get it to fill the container. And even then, we're losing some of the impact from that. So this is where we could use multiple shapes. Such a simple addition last year, but the shapes feature in Squarespace has been a massive plus for me. There we go. So we could add that Polaroid type of effect. And also we can adjust our hero section, reduce all the margins between each of the grid blocks, and reduce the height to 0 to get our shape and our image just sat nicely across the bottom of the content block. What we can now do is move our content down so we can see more of the background image. We can see the title. We can certainly change this button style so we can see it more clearly. And of course, we can change the color as well to bring in an action color. At the moment, we've got a monochromatic layout, but we could bring in, for example, green, a nice vibrant green as a action color. Ideally, try and find it so keep it on brand with your client, but that will just give it a bit more impact. We could also change this if this is a bit jarring, which I feel it is, to a color that's less jarring. There we go. So we've got the image almost like a fireplace. We've got that image aligned to the bottom. We can change the focal point of that image. And we could choose to add in additional information. So, for example, we could put a button in here for simple call to action. And we might even decide that we don't want the shop now. We can move that around. There's loads that we can do with that layout and bringing it in as a hero grid format. It's really up to you how to play around with it, but that is far better than having, for example, a slideshow where you have the first load of information on the first slide, then we have the sale information on the second, and we're having to make our visitors navigate through it manually. Also, because this is a low resolution image, and we've got one high resolution image, the load speed of this page will be much quicker than if we were to go ahead and add 4 or 5 images to our slideshow. And if you're intrigued to find out more about how we can create hero grids on Squarespace or other website builders, I've got this video that takes you through everything you need. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.